In Indonesia, they say the dead never truly leave. They're cleaned, dressed, and visited like old friends who simply moved to another neighborhood. 17,000 islands scattered across an ocean wider than the United States. A place where your morning coffee costs 50 cents, where women weave cloth believed to ward off evil spirits, and where the world's largest Buddhist temple sits forgotten in jungle mist for centuries. But here's what no guidebook tells you about Indonesia. The strangest thing isn't what you'll see. It's what you'll become. You're about to discover 20 mind-bending realities about Indonesia that will shatter everything you thought you knew about this archipelago. These aren't tourist facts. They're secrets whispered by locals who've watched their homeland transform before their eyes. If this journey resonates with you, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. These stories deserve to reach the travelers who understand that the best destinations change not just where you go, but who you are. By the end, I need your honest opinion. Is Indonesia the world's best kept secret? Or have we been looking at it all wrong? Drop your thoughts below. This conversation matters. Let's start with something that happened just this morning in a village you've never heard of. Number 1. The island that stops time. Every sunrise, while Jakarta's millions rush to work, 3,000 people in West Java deliberately choose to live like it's still the 18th century. The Baduy people reject electricity, engines, even footwear. Their villages exist in perfect silence. No motor sounds, no phone buzzes. Just human voices and forest whispers. They call it pukuku, the ancient way that keeps the world in balance. Women weave bark cloth the same way their great-grandmothers did. Men farm without machines, using wooden tools passed down through generations. Children learn by watching, not through screens or textbooks. But here's the twist. They're not isolated hermits. They walk barefoot to modern towns to trade their handicrafts, then return to their timeless world. Living proof that progress isn't always forward. Could you live without electricity for a week? Share your honest answer below. I'm genuinely curious about where you draw the line between necessity and convenience. And speaking of choices that defy logic, number 2, the death party that lasts for years. In South Sulawesi, death isn't an ending. It's the most expensive, joyful party you'll ever attend. The Toraja people spend years planning funerals, sometimes costing more than a house. Families save for decades, slaughter dozens of buffalo, and invite entire villages to celebrate their loved one's journey to Puya, the afterlife. But the truly strange part? The deceased person isn't considered dead until the ceremony happens. They're simply Tumakala, sick. Families talk to them, bring them food, include them in decisions. Picture this. A family discussing whether to send their daughter to university while their grandfather, preserved for 2 years, sits at the table, still considered the household elder. His opinion matters because death here isn't about goodbye. It's about transformation into something more powerful than life itself. But if that challenges your view of normal. Number 3, the cloth that sees evil coming. Hidden in a Balinese village untouched by tourism, women spend months creating cloth that locals believe can predict disasters. Gringsing textiles from Tenganan village use a double ikat technique so complex, only a handful of women alive know the full process. Each cloth takes over a year to complete, and Balinese Hindus believe wearing gringsing protects against black magic and reveals approaching danger. The patterns seem to shift depending on the light, geometric designs that appear to move like living things. Scientists can't explain why the natural dyes create this optical effect. Elderly weavers describe the cloth as alive, responding to the spiritual state of its wearer. During community ceremonies, people study each other's gringsing for signs. Tears appear before accidents. Colors fade before illness strikes. Do you believe objects can hold spiritual power? Comment your experience, whether you're a skeptic or believer. I'd love to hear your perspective. But Indonesia's mysteries go far deeper than fabric. Number 4, the democracy that shouldn't work. 17,000 islands, 700 languages, 300 ethnic groups. How do you hold a country like this together? Indonesia is the world's 3rd largest democracy, yet most people can't even locate it on a map. Every morning, school children recite Pancasila, 5 principles that somehow unite Muslims, Christians, Hindus, and dozens of indigenous beliefs under one flag. The secret? Bhinneka Tunggal Ika. Unity in diversity. Not just a motto, but a daily practice. Neighbors of different faiths share meals, protect each other's holy days, and solve problems together through gotong royong, mutual aid. During Ramadan, Hindu vendors in Bali prepare special meals for Muslim customers breaking fast. At Christmas, Muslim neighbors in Jakarta help Christian families prepare celebrations. When natural disasters strike, temple bells, church chimes, and mosque calls unite in shared grief and action. In an age of division, Indonesia quietly proves that diversity isn't a threat to unity. It's the foundation. Speaking of foundations that defy expectations, number 5, the coffee that changed everything. Your morning coffee probably began its journey in a place where beans are still dried on family courtyards and sorted by hand. Indonesia produces more coffee than anywhere except Brazil, but locals drink it differently, thick, sweet, mixed with condensed milk in roadside warcup that double as community centers. The most expensive coffee in the world, Kopi Luwak, comes from beans eaten and excreted by Asian palm civets. But locals in Sumatra and Java laugh at tourists paying $100 per cup for what they consider a novelty. Here's my question. What's the strangest food preparation you'd actually try? Type 1 if you taste civet coffee. 2, if that's where you draw the line. The real treasure isn't the exotic beans. It's the culture of slowing down, of conversations that last hours over a 50-cent cup. In Indonesian coffee shops, business deals wait while friends reconnect. But Indonesia's relationship with time goes beyond coffee culture. Number 6, the day an entire island goes silent. Once a year, Bali becomes a ghost island. 9 million people vanish from sight. Nyepi, the day of silence, follows the most chaotic night imaginable. Giant demon puppets called Ogo Ogo parade through every village, accompanied by crashing gamelan and wild celebration. Then at 6 a.m. sharp, complete silence. No lights, no cooking fires, no leaving homes. Even the airport closes. For 24 hours, the island meditates while evil spirits, confused by the emptiness, move on to somewhere livelier. Balinese say this annual reset cleanses the island's spiritual energy. Scientists say crime rates drop to 0 and air pollution disappears for days after. Imagine your entire city agreeing to disconnect simultaneously. No phones, no internet, no commerce. Just silence and introspection. But Bali's mysteries are just the beginning. Number 7. The Spice Islands that built empires. 500 years ago, a handful of tiny islands in eastern Indonesia were worth more than gold. Literally. The Maluku Islands, the original Spice Islands, held a monopoly on nutmeg and cloves. European empires fought wars over these specks of land. The Dutch once traded Manhattan for a single nutmeg-producing island. Today, those same islands remain virtually untouched by tourism. Local families still harvest spices using methods unchanged for centuries. A kilogram of fresh nutmeg, worth fortunes in medieval Europe, costs $5. Old women sort cloves on woven mats while children play between drying racks. The air itself is intoxicating, cinnamon, nutmeg, and black pepper creating a natural perfume that once launched 1,000 ships. The irony? The riches that built Amsterdam's golden age now offer some of the world's most affordable paradise to anyone willing to take an overnight boat. Would you trade modern convenience for historical adventure? Tell me in the comments. What's the most remote place you travel for an authentic experience? But the real treasures of Indonesia aren't things you can hold. Number 8. The underwater cathedral that rewrites evolution. In the remote waters of West Papua lies an underwater world so biodiverse that marine biologists call it the epicenter of ocean evolution. Raja Ampat, the Four Kings, contains 75% of all known coral species and 1,400 species of fish. That's more marine life in one small area than the entire Caribbean Sea. But here's what's truly strange. Local Papuan communities never developed fishing as their primary livelihood. They believed these waters were too sacred to heavily exploit. Their spiritual restraint accidentally created one of Earth's last pristine marine ecosystems. Ancient wisdom that modern science is just beginning to understand. Swimming here feels like floating through a living cathedral. Manta rays glide overhead like angels, while schools of barracuda spiral in silver tornadoes below. And that pattern, ancient wisdom hidden in plain sight, appears everywhere you look. Number 9. The language that died and came back to life. Indonesia accomplished something linguistically impossible, creating a national language from a dying dialect. When Indonesia declared independence in 1945, Javanese was spoken by the most people. But Bahasa Indonesia was chosen instead, based on Malay, a trade language spoken by less than 5% of the population. Within 50 years, this constructed language became the mother tongue of 270 million people. 700 local languages still thrive, but Indonesian binds them all together. Today, kids in Papua's highlands and fishermen in Aceh's ports can immediately understand each other, something that would have been impossible for their grandparents. Could your country unite around a completely new language? Think about it. What would it take to get everyone you know to speak differently within a generation? But unity in Indonesia comes with contradictions that might surprise you. Number 10. The Muslim country that isn't actually Muslim. Indonesia is the world's largest Muslim-majority country, but calling it a Muslim country misses the entire point. Pancasila, Indonesia's founding philosophy, requires belief in one God, but doesn't specify which one. Hindu temples in Bali operate with government protection. Christian communities in Papua and North Sulawesi celebrate freely. In Yogyakarta, the Sultan's palace sits between a grand mosque and Christian university. During Ramadan, Hindu vendors sell food to Muslim customers breaking fast. At Christmas, Muslim neighbors help Christian families prepare. The genius? Religious identity strengthens rather than threatens national identity. Each community's distinctiveness enriches the whole. It's a model the rest of the world is still trying to figure out. But perhaps nothing demonstrates Indonesian creativity like number 11, the kitchen that feeds 270 million people. Every Indonesian, regardless of island or income, shares one culinary secret, the Padang restaurant system that revolutionized how a nation eats. Walk into any Padang restaurant across Indonesia, from Jakarta to Papua, and experience the same ritual. Dozens of small dishes appear instantly on your table. You eat what you want, pay only for what you touch. This honor system dining, born in Minangkabau culture, now feeds millions daily. Rendang, their slow-cooked beef curry, was voted the world's most delicious dish by CNN, but costs $3 in its homeland. The system works because of ADA, traditional law based on trust and community shame. Cheating isn't prevented by surveillance. It's prevented by knowing everyone in your neighborhood would find out. Would honor system dining work in your country? The answer might reveal more about your society than you'd expect. This trust extends to corners of life you'd never expect. Number 12. The traffic that flows like water. Jakarta's traffic looks like chaos, but hidden within it is a complex social order that keeps 8 million people moving. Motorcycles in Indonesia don't follow traffic laws. They follow social laws. Drivers communicate through subtle head nods, hand gestures, and an unspoken hierarchy based on vehicle size, urgency, and local status. What appears dangerous to outsiders is actually a fluid negotiation system. Accidents are rare because everyone participates in constant microcommunication. The genius? This same cooperative instinct, gotong royong, governs everything from neighborhood cleanups to disaster response. Traffic is just democracy in motion. In Indonesia, chaos and order aren't opposites. They're dance partners. And this dance plays out in the most unexpected places. Number 13. The village where women rule the world. In West Sumatra, there's a society where men work, but women own everything. And it's been this way for over 1,000 years. Minangkabau culture is the world's largest matrilineal society. Houses, land, and family names pass from mothers to daughters. Men may lead in public, but women control wealth, property, and family decisions. Their traditional houses, rumah gadang, are shaped like buffalo horns, symbols of strength and prosperity. When a daughter marries, her husband moves into her family home. This matrilineal system created Indonesia's most successful entrepreneurial culture. Minangkabau people run Padang restaurants worldwide, building business empires on the foundation of women's economic wisdom. How do you think society would differ if women controlled inherited wealth? Share your thoughts. This isn't just about gender, it's about how we organize entire civilizations. Speaking of societies that operate by different rules. Number 14. The island of perfect mornings. Every morning in Bali, ancient water flows through a system so perfect it's been copied by engineers worldwide, and it's managed entirely by farmers. The Subak system isn't just irrigation. It's religion, economics, and ecology combined. Water flows from sacred mountain springs through temple courtyards to rice terraces, following a calendar set by Hindu priests. Farmers coordinate planting cycles through water temple ceremonies, creating a landscape that feeds both body and spirit. When UNESCO made it a World Heritage Site, they called it cultural landscape, where humans and nature achieved perfect harmony. Type 3, if you think technology should mimic nature's patterns, for if you believe human engineering works better. The result? Sustainable agriculture that's fed Bali for over 1,000 years without depleting the soil. In a world obsessed with efficiency, Bali proves that the most productive systems might be the most spiritual ones. But efficiency takes on different meanings across these islands. Number 15. The art of saying no without saying no. Indonesians have perfected something most cultures struggle with: disagreeing without conflict. Direct confrontation disrupts harmony, the foundation of Indonesian social life. Instead of saying no, people use halos communication, soft tones in direct language, and graceful deflection. A raised eyebrow might mean strong disagreement. A slight pause before answering signals hesitation. Saying "we'll think about it" often means absolutely not, delivered with a smile. Foreigners find it frustrating until they realize it's not about being fake. It's about preserving relationships over individual wins. This soft power approach extends to international relations. Indonesia mediates global conflicts not through force, but through patience and face-saving compromises. Is direct honesty always better than harmony? Share your cultural perspective. I'm curious how different societies handle disagreement. This emphasis on relationships creates opportunities you won't find anywhere else. Number 16. The $2 feast that defines Indonesian generosity. In Indonesian culture, refusing food isn't just rude. It's spiritually dangerous for the person offering it. Rezeki, sustenance, or blessings, must be shared to keep flowing. Withholding food is believed to block your own fortune. This creates a culture where strangers regularly offer meals to visitors. A complete meal in a village warung, rice, vegetables, meat, soup, costs under $2. But the real value isn't economic. Sharing food creates sadera, chosen family bonds that last generations. Wealthy Indonesians still eat at humble warungs because status comes from generosity, not exclusivity. The richest person is the one who feeds the most people. This abundance mindset, rooted in volcanic soil and monsoon rains, shapes everything from business philosophy to foreign policy. But abundance here comes with profound responsibility. Number 17. The secret democracy hidden in plain sight. After all these facts, here's the truth that ties them together. Indonesia isn't one country trying to be unified. It's 17,000 islands that chose to become one story. Every strange thing you've seen, the timeless Baduy villages, the death celebrations, the silent cloth, the liquid traffic, these aren't curiosities. They're chapters in humanity's most ambitious experiment. Can difference itself become identity? For 75 years, Indonesia has been proving that unity doesn't require uniformity, that prosperity doesn't require abandoning tradition, that progress can flow in multiple directions simultaneously. The West measures success by GDP and individual achievement. Indonesia measures it by gotong royong, how well the community rises together. Maybe the strangest thing about Indonesia isn't what makes it different from everywhere else. Maybe it's what makes it a glimpse of what everywhere else could become. In a world of increasing division, could Indonesia's unity and diversity model work globally? What would have to change in your society? This isn't just about Indonesia anymore. It's about the future we're all building. Number 18. The return to ancient wisdom. Remember those dead who never truly leave? Those Toraja ancestors who remain part of the family conversation? Indonesia itself is like that. The past isn't buried. It's maintained, honored, integrated into daily life. Ancient wisdom guides modern decisions. Traditional values power contemporary innovation. In our rush toward tomorrow, we've forgotten that some civilizations learned to carry yesterday with them, not as burden, but as compass. Perhaps the strangest thing about Indonesia isn't the death parties or silent islands or mysterious textiles. Perhaps it's that in a world obsessed with moving forward, they've mastered the art of moving deeper. And maybe, just maybe, that's exactly what the rest of us need to learn. Number 19. The mirror we didn't expect. Indonesia forces a question most travelers never want to ask. What if everything we think we know about progress is backwards? What if efficiency isn't about speed, but about harmony? What if prosperity isn't about individual wealth, but about community resilience? What if strength isn't about standing alone, but about holding space for difference? These aren't philosophical abstractions in Indonesia. They're daily practices that work. But here's the challenge. You can't just visit Indonesia and take photos. It changes you, forces you to question assumptions you didn't know you had. The real question isn't whether you'll love Indonesia. It's whether you're ready for what loving Indonesia means, about how you see the world, how you measure success, how you define home. Number 20. The journey that never ends. We started with death that isn't death, and we end with change that isn't loss. Indonesia taught me that the most radical thing you can do in our modern world isn't to reject tradition. It's to integrate it so completely that ancient wisdom becomes tomorrow's innovation. Every Indonesian you meet carries 17,000 islands inside them. The patience of Java, the entrepreneurship of Sumatra, the spirituality of Bali, the resilience of Papua. They're not trying to choose between old and new. They're proving that choice itself is the illusion. So here's my final question, and the one that matters most. Which of these 20 realities challenge your assumptions the most? And what questions about Indonesia, about life, about community, about what's possible are you still carrying? Tell me in the comments. For the ones who've traveled, for the ones still dreaming, for the ones who understand that the best journeys don't just show you new places. They show you new ways of being human. If you're hungry for more stories that reveal the hidden wisdom of overlooked places, join us. Every week, we travel beyond the surface to find the souls of civilizations. Until the next journey, stay curious.